And John Wayne, thank you for the comment. I hope you can hear me now. Anyways, welcome into the Hayden Coker Show, presented to you by Senator Lance Bell. Senator Lance Bell, the best man I know, the best man he knows. I appreciate everybody for joining tonight. We've got Vandy and Bama on tap for the weekend. Some college kids out there, they're going to have some beer on tap for the weekend. We have Theo Vaughn headlining College Game Day over the weekend. We've got a lot going on, man. And, we're going to dive into it here shortly. One of the main things that I'm most excited about to talk about, obviously the Vandy and Bama game, but something that I've really dove into, guys, Ole Miss, how good they are. I'm going to go ahead and say, wow, Ole Miss is good, okay? The offensive line was good. The running back play was good. They got some really, really good players over there at Ole Miss. The wide receiver play as well. But Trinidad Chambliss, somebody that not too many people know about, quarterback for Ole Miss, as I glanced down at the iPad, he's fantastic, guys. And I really would like for everybody to, if you have not seen Trinidad Chambliss play, go watch the guy. Okay, he's not a massive quarterback. Okay, I don't want to say he's 5'10", 5'11". He's not that big. Okay, but the guy, he's really, really shifty. He's twitchy. He can throw the ball. He's accurate. And one of the things that I really enjoy about him is he can dissect the defense. He can read a defense. He understands the zones that some of these defenses are in. And he can really sit back and understand where each DB, where each linebacker, where those guys are going. And I actually really enjoy seeing that about Trinidad Chambliss. Okay, that's something that some people have kind of sat back and watched him do over the years. Now, not many people watched him at Ferris State. I'm not going to claim that I did because I didn't watch him at Ferris State. I knew Ferris State was a thing, but I didn't know what a Trinidad Chambliss was until this year. Now, I know exactly who Trinidad Chambliss is, okay? And I think that everybody in the country needs to know who Trinidad Chambliss is I take a sip of the Buffalo Wild Wings sweet tea, because he's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in America right now. 3 straight 300-yard games through the air. Are you kidding me? A backup quarterback. That's something that Austin Simmons wasn't doing, okay? Austin Simmons struggled against Kentucky. Now, I understand that's a rivalry there that we're talking about, but understand this is Trinidad Chambliss is a guy who, over the last few years, he was at Ferris State and all this. And in the offseason, they transfers, okay? They get a late transfer from a guy named Trinidad Chambliss coming into Ole Miss, and now he's setting the world on fire, okay? You look 4 weeks ago, people were like, oh, man, and Colt Kublik said it himself on the radio show, on Jocks 94.5, that Trinidad Chambliss is a guy that could start on some SEC teams. And holy crap, I wish I would have listened to him because I didn't. But I was like, so back up. And I know Colt Kublik is a fantastic analyst and everything, but at the same time, I was like, probably not going to see this guy this year. Little did I know, Austin Simmons is going to go out and get hurt. Okay, and I understand that's part of the game that happens. But now if you really sit back and you look and you watch Trinidad Chambliss play, it's pretty impressive what he's doing. Okay, so Trinidad Chambliss went out against LSU. He did his thing, over 300 yards rushing, over 300 yards passing, 75 yards rushing, along those lines. And he had a touchdown. He threw a pick. It's going to happen. But the guy's good, man. He's talented. He's ultra talented. I think a lot of people need to be watching this guy because he's one of the most talented guys over the last decade when it comes to the Ole Miss quarterback, at the quarterback position for Ole Miss. And I mean, yes, I'm talking better than Bo Wallace. And there's a chance that this guy has a better year than Jackson Dart did last year. I mean, the guy's single-handedly putting Ole Miss on the map. Now, I understand there's a lot of moving parts around Ole Miss right now, and a lot of moving parts, like, for instance, at the wide receiver position. You've got some dogs out there. Deuce Alexander is one of the more highly slept-on guys in the SEC when it comes to that wide receiver position. Okay, defensively, man, they're good. Okay, so what we need to start doing is paying attention to this Ole Miss team because they are really, really good. Okay, really good. So if you haven't watched Ole Miss this year, watch Ole Miss. Now, LSU, on the other hand, they've got a major problem. LSU's got a major problem. They've got to fix it. Garrett Nussmeier, they came out. I think they've announced this. The guy's hurt. He's been playing hurt over the last few weeks. You can kind of see it. It's an abdominal injury, I believe, is what I saw. And that you can't lie. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you and say that. And I'll sit there and try to throw a baseball. And if your abdomen area is hurting, like I am, because I work out my abs so much and I have that chiseled six pack so much that it's going to hurt. No, so obviously I think everybody out there knows it, and the blue-collar workers, okay, anybody with an ab injury understands it. You get an injury down there, whether it's your ribs or abs or whatever, anywhere in that area, it's going to hurt to do anything. It hurts sometimes to breathe. So I understand if Garrett Nussmeier, this is true that this injury is the cause of what's happening and the cause of his play on the field. You can't sit there and be like, oh, man, there's no way his abs hurt or his abdominal area is hurting that much, okay? First off, cut the crap, all right? Because obviously there's one thing or the other happening here. You've either never played the sport, never played sports in general, or you're just being super judgy and you're saying, oh, it's just an excuse or whatever. I legit do think that is an issue here, and I think that Garrett Nussmeier is one of the best quarterbacks in America when healthy. Problem is, he's not healthy right now. They came out and said it's not going to require surgery or anything, but he's got to rest it because they're about to get into the thick of the SEC schedule, the meat of that schedule. And if he doesn't get over that a little sooner than what people would rather have, there's a chance that this LSU team is going to be facing a lot of negativity, okay, and a lot of uphill battles. So, do I have faith in this LSU team? Absolutely. I have faith in the LSU team to get it right. They got to figure out the run game too, man. Hayden, obviously, he was out, and he's obviously been somebody who's extremely missed for this LSU team. But when it comes to LSU, you look at what happened last year, and you saw it this year too. They aren't trying to run the football. Now, if you look at the offensive line play, you can see that maybe that is the cause of that. But let's take a second and look at it, okay? Let's take a step back and look at it. LSU didn't have over 100 yards rushing against Ole Miss, like they probably should have if they wanted to win the game. They have got to put the ground, they have got to run the ball a little bit more than what they're showing. Right? You're being so one-dimensional and forcing an injured Garrett Nussmeier to go out there and win the game for you. And it's just not going to happen. Now, I understand Brian Kelly's a great coach and everything, but I think that something's got to be said about how Garrett Nussmeier is throwing the ball 30 times a game, 35 times a game, and being injured. You have to run the ball. You have got to find some sort of momentum running the ball, either way, whatever it may be. Harlem Berry, okay? He's not somebody who's injured right now. Caden Durham, I understand that guy's a little hurt right now. I understand that. I'm not taking anything away from that. But Harlem Berry, he's not, as the Cubs have just advanced to the next round of the playoffs here as they beat the San Diego Padres and saw Peter Armstrong. He just celebrated in center field. That's pretty cool. But no, man, you've got to find a way to run the ball. You cannot be so one-dimensional as to you going into each and every game. Lane Kiffin came into this game knowing that, hey, LSU's not going to try to run the ball. All right, they're going to run the ball maybe 10, maybe 15 times, and that's combined. And that's it, okay? Lane Kiffin is one of the best offensive minds in the game, and he's got Pete Golding as his defensive coordinator who, man, those guys really showed up over the past week. You've got to do something that's going to make teams understand that, hey, you know what? Maybe they aren't going to be so one-dimensional. I have a fan over here peeking his head into the frame here. It's Brad Coker. But it's just ridiculous, and I think that Brian Kelly's really got to address that at practice because if not, there's going to be major issues. Major issues. All right. Now, I'm sorry. We can move on. And by the way, LSU had 57 yards rushing in that game. 57 yards. All right. I'm going to glance down the back at the iPad here. Okay. Bama versus Georgia. Let's talk about it. All right. Now, what Alabama did against Georgia was nothing short. And now, offensively in the second half, you can say all you want to. Okay. But nothing short of fantastic in the first half. Okay. They were extremely efficient. I think Ty Simpson is one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. Now, first week after week one, I'll let you know. I was like, man, I'm kind of down on Ty Simpson. That was my mindset. I didn't think that he was the most accurate quarterback out there. I thought he's very sporadic at times. So now I think my mind has changed on Ty Simpson. Why has my mind changed on Ty Simpson? All right, we really got to look at. Okay. Yeah, okay. You play a cupcake, then you get Wisconsin. One of the bottom feeders of the Power 4. I know, I get it. The guy looks comfortable, man. Give the guy some credit. He looks comfortable. He's really precise in his throwing. And the way he facilitates the offense, and this is just me talking, the way he facilitates the offense is just impeccable. Okay? Look what he did against Georgia. There was times he had to escape the pocket. And I can name one exact play. I don't remember the wide receiver if it was I don't remember if it was Lotzier, and I don't remember if it was Horton. I believe it was Horton, though. Isaiah Horton. He has to roll out to his left. Okay, he's a right-handed quarterback. He stops, he sets his feet, makes a throw, and Horton, I believe it was Isaiah Horton, sat down perfectly in his zone, and Ty Simpson was able to make a throw, and it's a dart. Okay, The guy, he can read a defense. He can throw the ball. He's accurate, and he knows what he's doing. Ty Simpson, he went out there, and I'm not saying that he went out there and did something that I didn't expect him to do. I fully expected him to go out there after seeing what he had done the past few weeks. I fully expected him to go out there and make some good throws, okay? I knew he could facilitate the offense. Now he's actually showing it. He's showing moxie. He's playing with a bunch of energy, and I love that, dude. I freaking love Ty Simpson because he's playing some damn good football, okay? Now, the moxie from Ty Simpson, let's talk about it, all right? The enthusiasm from Ty Simpson, let's talk about it. All right, it's late in the second quarter. It's a play-action pass. Instead, he rolls out into the end zone for a 1-yard rushing touchdown. Then to the Georgia crowd in Sanford Stadium, and everybody's like, oh, man, it's going to play a huge difference. It's going to make a huge difference. Ty Simpson, hush. Now, he just tells them to shut up, all right? Ty Simpson has the likability of any quarterback that I've seen in the country right now, okay? Now, a lot of people can go out there and be like, oh, man, well, I don't like this quarterback because he plays for Alabama. Ty Simpson is one of those guys that doesn't say a word, all right? You don't really see much of him in the media, and I like that, okay? Thomas Castellanos, he talks. Well, yes, he talks. He backs the crap up, okay? Ty Simpson, one of those guys who's a little more meek, a little more silent, a little more humble, and he's able to go out there, he plays his game, and he doesn't make too much of a commotion about it, all right? The pep talk he gave before the game against Georgia, it's us against the world. It's us against the world, saying it over and over, saying that, all right, several times. That's Nick Saban made over. Well, let me just tell you this. Ty Simpson is, I believe, he's the last quarterback of the Nick Saban recruiting era. So maybe he got a little bit over it from Nick Saban. I don't know. People are saying, oh, look, it's Nick Saban. It's that Nick Saban rubbing off on him. I just think that's Ty Simpson, man. I think that Ty Simpson, he's got that moxie. He's got that personality. And he can go out there and win football games for this Alabama football team. They haven't been able to run the ball. The running backs are able to get involved in the receiving game a little bit. You've got Kevin Riley, who's made some pretty good plays here. Jam Miller, though, he came back against Georgia over the past weekend, and he made some pretty good plays as well to end the game. Here's a play action pass, a little misdirection as well. The entire offensive line kind of shifts to the left, to the far sideline, that far hash mark, and then you have Jam Miller, who he's faked the handoff to, and he kind of looks like he's going to make it looks like he's going to pick up a block that's coming towards Ty Simpson. Well, Ty Simpson turned around, and he hits Jam Miller out in the flats for the first down and to win the game. All right, you can't draw it up any better than that. That's exactly what Kalen DeBoer was brought to Alabama for, to win games in dramatic fashion. Now, not everybody wants to win in dramatic fashion, all right? He wasn't brought here to win in the most crazy way possible. No, he was brought to Alabama to win, to get this program back to where it was when Nick Saban was there. Now, obviously, you had to drop off 9-4. Guys, let me tell you something about Nick Saban and Kalen DeBoer. So take a look at the Nick Saban era. All right, the guy was there for how many years and won how many games? The first year under Kalen DeBoer. I get it. You can say whatever you want to. It was Nick Saban's players. I really don't give a crap. All right. First year under Kalen DeBoer, they won 9 games. That is tied for first among the first-year Alabama head coach. All right? Let that sink in for a second. I get it, Nick Saban's players, but take a look at it for a second, man. Kalen DeBoer brings in some of his own players of his own, okay? Jeremy Bernard, the main guy in that class that Kalen DeBoer brought over, okay? He brought over Austin Mack, too. And he brought over some other guys. But take a look at it, man. Stop judging. Stop being so judgmental for a second. And look at the first year for Kalen DeBoer and understand that, hey, this guy's coming into a brand new system. The guy's got fire under his ass because all these Alabama fans are saying, hey, you know what? This is our first year. I don't care if it's your first year. You have Nick Saban's players go out there and win the national championship. That's not how it was going to work. That's never how it was going to work. Now, when they beat Georgia in Bryant-Denny Stadium on Nick Saban Field, yeah, everybody kind of thought that, hey, you know what? Maybe this is a team that can go and do it. Obviously, they faced some slip-ups and whatnot. They faced a little adversity late in the season. They finished 9-4. It is whatever. Okay, it doesn't really matter to me. What I care about now is that Kalen DeBoer is going out there and he's showing teams that, hey, this guy can freaking win, and he can do it with passion. All right, the passion he showed on the sideline Saturday night. Guess what, Alabama fans? You woke up a beast because now Kalen DeBoer is here. Now, what we saw last year. Here's where I'm going to kind of play devil's advocate, okay? Kalen DeBoer was a little more energetic on the sideline against Georgia. All right. Well, they won that game. Guess what happened the very next week? They're sleepwalking into Nashville, okay, and they lose to a Vandy team who's a fiery Diego Pavia quarterback, okay, a fantastic Cedric Alexander running back. Now it's a little bit different. I understand that there. Now look at it. All right, Vandy comes in. They're in the top 25. They're a 16th ranked team in the country. Okay, Diego Pavia is one of the better teams or better quarterbacks in the SEC right now. So what's Alabama going to do about it? Well, let me tell you this. And it's going to be a tough game for Alabama. I understand that. And I'm going to go into predictions and all that. It's going to be prediction season a little bit later on in the show. But this is an Alabama team that's got to get it figured out. Say figured out. They've got to have everything come back together. They can't just have that first half against Georgia offensively and then go to sleep. They didn't score in that second half against Georgia. So what if, and bring it together, focus a little bit. What if this is a game where this Nick Saban team, where this Kalen DeBoer team comes in and lays down offensively? Okay, well, I understand it. I get it. That's certainly a possibility. All right, especially with what we saw last year. I don't think it's going to happen. All right. You got a little more fire into this team this year. They've got a little more smoke under their rear. I think that this Alabama team now, they're going up this weekend, and they're going to play with a little bit more fire, a little bit more passion than they did last year against the Vandy team. Now, massive shout-out to Steel 174. Steel 174 as the San Francisco 49ers and the LA Rams have officially kicked off. So let me tell you a little bit about Steel 174 now. It's Daniel Dawson and Bobby Wilson. Really good guys, some phenomenal guys here. But one thing I want to tell you about these guys is that not only are they phenomenal people, not only are they great people, not only do they have great people around them that work with them, but they have some phenomenal service. All right, still strong, still reliable, still 174. These guys can build your house. All right, you don't have to rely on some of these other guys who don't know what they're doing. You don't have to rely on all the trips to the hardware store to build it on your own. You can't do this like a gingerbread house. Okay, icing ain't gonna put that thing together. Steel 174 can. You can visit Steel 174 on Facebook. Now, as I click the pin and I glance down at my iPad here, I've got a little something to tell you. And this next segment is going to be a good one, okay? So this is the Hayden Coker Show presented to you by Senator Lance Bell, one of the best people I know, one of the best men he knows. So something that I find phenomenal about the SEC, okay, is the head coaches, all right? And now I want to talk about Kalen DeBoer. I want to talk all about Kirby Smart as well. And we're going to do that in just a second. I want to talk records, okay? So records against the AP Top 25. Here we go. Kalen DeBoer, all right? You ready? Kalen DeBoer, 15-3 against the AP Top 25. All right, now let's break it down. Kirby Smart, 37-15. These are all as a head coach, by the way. Now you have obviously you have Josh Heupel. This is where it starts to fall off. Josh Heupel, 12-12. You have Brian Kelly, 35-37. Steve Sarkisian, 21-33. It starts to fall off from there. All right, now everybody can go out of their way and say, "Oh, you know what, man? Maybe the SEC is a little top heavy when it comes to head coaches." My friend, you're wrong. Now, some of these records are not going to indicate that. Some of these records are going to indicate, man, maybe some of these head coaches are, not great. I think they're a little overrated. Let me tell you a little something, okay? The SEC beats up on each other each and every single year. All right, now I understand that maybe it's a cliche, okay? Maybe it's a cliche, or maybe it's something that everybody says because it's the SEC, and maybe it's something that I say because I'm from the South and I only watch the SEC. Well, let me tell you, I don't watch only the SEC. That's just not a thing. All right. So Brent Venables, another head coach that I want to talk about real quick. 4-7 is the AP Top 25 head coach. Eli Drinkwitz, 7-14. You have, and this is the guy that I think some people will like. Mike Elko, 3-6. Okay, Mike Elko. We know a little bit about him. Now, he came over from A&M, he came over from Duke to be the head coach. And Nick Wilson asked me this last week. You don't know who Nick Wilson is, but I'm not asking people do. Nick Wilson asked me this last year. He said, "Hayden, do you think that A&M, after they fired Fisher or whatever, do you think they go and hire Mike Elko?" I said, I don't really think so. Well, Nick Wilson told me wrong, all right? He said he think that they would. Shout out to Nick Wilson. Great dude, asphalt legend. But yeah, Mike Elko, 3-6 right now as a head coach against the AP Top 25. Lane Kiffin, 11-24. And then Mark Stoops, okay? Mark Stoops, one of those guys that not many people pay attention to. I don't think he's a great head coach. I think he could be good in the right situation. Kentucky's just not the right situation. 14-31 for Mark Stoops. Here's one. Hugh Freeze, 10-32 versus the AP Top 25 as the head coach. I just kind of let that sink in for a minute. All right, now can I move on? All right, now Sam Pittman. Now, obviously, he's gone, okay? He's gone 7-22 versus the AP Top 25. Now, a lot of these guys, and I understand, A lot of these guys aren't necessarily the flashy head coaches that everybody likes, but I thought that was important. Okay, I wanted to bring that up because, for one, I thought it was a really, really, really funny headline that guys like 722 versus the AP top 25, and it's understandable. I mean, he's at Arkansas. Years ago, he came in his first year, just missed the bowl game. Then the second year, he was 9-4. And I feel like that's what gave Arkansas fans a lot of hope. Okay, now you're kind of shifting gears. You go through some losing seasons. Now you've got to realign yourself. Okay, where we're going as head coach. You know who I think should go as head coach? John Summerall, head coach at Tulane. Go and get him in the offseason. Now, a name that I've kind of thrown around in my head, Mike Gundy. Okay. And now, hold on, bear with me for a second. So I really want to take a minute to explain myself here. So Mike Gundy is one of those guys that I don't think is really. We'll go over the HCS Power 12 here in a minute. But Mike Gundy is one of those guys that I think could make a little noise in the head coaching vacancies in the offseason, just because of how long he was around Oklahoma State and what he turned the program into. I understand over the last few years they haven't necessarily had good seasons, but now I think it's a little bit different. Okay, now. Mike Gundy, he built Oklahoma State up, okay, from the bottom, okay? So, say Mike Gundy, he goes into Arkansas, turns things around, all right? Arkansas, Fayetteville, mind you, is only like 2.5 hours away from Stillwater. So, it's not far at all. And Arkansas, kind of like Oklahoma State, is a bottom feeder of the SEC. Oklahoma State was a bottom feeder of the Big 12, or it wasn't even the Big 12 back then, but it wasn't necessarily the best team in their conference. So now I'm just kind of comparing, okay? But now let's really dive into it. Mike Gundy, let's take a look at Stillwater, small college town. Fayetteville, not necessarily a big college town either. Arkansas, not necessarily known for their football, okay? They're not necessarily one of those teams that pops off the page whenever you're talking about Razorback football or SEC football in general. Now let's throw it back to Oklahoma State. They weren't one of those teams that kind of popped off the page pre-Gundy. All right? Now, post-Gundy, you can see that they kind of popped off a little bit. They popped off a lot. They almost made the national championship game, and if it wasn't for an upset a few years back, they would have made said BCS national championship game. All right? Then you missed the playoffs by a goal line stand against Baylor. They've had several times where they could have made big splashes in the college football world. And they did in other ways, but not necessarily in the way that everybody wanted them to, like Big 12 champion or anything like that. So, obviously, I think it's a little bit different of a situation, and I don't think that this will happen, but I think that that's something to keep an eye on. It's something that obviously may happen. I mean, obviously, you have anything can happen in the college football world. But I don't know. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there because I really thought it was something, but. Mike Gundy, he took that program in Oklahoma State and built it to the top. And obviously, you know where it is now. But anyways, let's switch gears for a minute. All right, let's switch gears and let's talk about some football. All right, now, all right. So the HCS Power 12. What is the HCS Power 12? I'm a fan joining here. HCS Power 12. We've talked a little bit about the HCS Power 12 over the last few weeks. Okay, now it's a segment in each show, and I love bringing it in, and I love to kind of break it down for you guys. Okay, I think it can be a little off-putting to some people. I think it'd be a little controversial. I really don't care. Let me dive into the HCS Power 12. Now, at the group of 5 spot, we have the UCF. Now, at the group of 5 spot in the HCS Power 12, we have the USF Bulls. USF Bulls coming in at that G5 spot. Number 11, we have the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Coming in at number 10, we have Kurt Cignetti. All right. Kurt Cignetti and the boys up in Indiana at 10. A&M, you have Mike Yoko and the fellows over there in Aggie Land at number 9. Penn State at 8. Georgia at 7. Oklahoma at 6. Ole Miss at 5. You have Miami at 3. Miami at 4. Alabama at 3. Ohio State at 2. And then you have Oregon at 1. So that is the HCS Media Power 12 right now. Okay, when it comes to USF, guys, they still have that resume. That's why they're there. You have teams like Memphis. You have teams like, and I'll go into these guys here in a minute. You have guys like Old Dominion. Old Dominion is one of those teams that I feel like can really make a splash in the Group of 5 world right now. Coach Richie Ronnie of Old Dominion, he's got those guys going, okay? They're really good this year. Hoping to show something at the quarterback position. He's really good as well. This is an Old Dominion team that lost by 13 to Indiana earlier in the year. They went to Bloomington to play Kurt Cignetti and the boys over there. but they lost that game by 13, and it wasn't necessarily a blowout. 27-7 at the end of the fourth quarter. It was 7-7 at the end of the first quarter. So they played a competitive first quarter. Okay, they kept it competitive the rest of the game. And guys, this is what I'm kind of saying. This is what I'm saying when I'm going with this is they hung with one of the better teams in the Big Ten. All right, now I'm not saying that there haven't been teams that went out there and kind of stifle. You had Louisiana Tech and LSU, which was just a weird game in general. I don't think Louisiana Tech is that good this year. But ODU is a team to look out for when it comes to the Group of Five this year and possibly sneaking into that top 12 spot. Now, moving on, Texas Tech at that 11th seed, at that 11th position right now. Really like what they did against Utah a few weeks ago. Obviously, this could change at any moment, but I like where they're at right now. I like where they're headed. Indiana, another team. I really like where they're at. You had a tough game against Iowa in Iowa over the last weekend. Guys, it was a game against Iowa. It was an ugly, dirty game. The spread was 6.5 points. It's a 6.5 point spread. Fernando Mendoza, it's like, guys, it's like second down, and they're about to end the game. All right, but they don't have. The opposing team doesn't have another timeout, but they don't want to end the game. Excuse me, they don't want to end the game with time on the clock because then you have a whole other set of possibilities. Okay, what does Fernando Mendoza do? He's at the 45-yard line. He runs backwards. Okay, wastes that 6-7 seconds off the clock, and what happens, okay? He runs out of the back of the end zone, cuts it to a 20-15 game as time expires, and Iowa covers the 6.5 point spread. And now, if that's not sports betting 101 at its finest, I don't really know what it is. Now, I'm not saying Fernando Mendoza is betting on college football because I don't think that's the case at all. I just think that was really, really, really freaking funny. So now we get it as we go throughout the rest of season. I think we're seeing one more thing like that. We're going to say, I don't necessarily think that this Indiana team is that good. After 2 weeks later, my friends, they went out there and they clobbered Illinois by a score of 600,000 to nothing. All right, so what I think is very interesting about Indiana is that they have potential. They have so much potential, and I really think that they can compete with the big dogs. And I think they will. They're really good defensively. D'Angelo Pons, one of the best DBs in America right now. I think he's making a lot of noise as well. And Fernando Mendoza, guys, he's a Heisman contender. As much as you want to twist it and say, oh, he's not. He sure as hell is. He sure is. And I don't really understand the lack of acknowledgement for Fernando Mendoza because the guy's good. He's accurate. He's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in America right now. And I think people are going to really come around to Fernando Mendoza eventually. She's going to take a little time. It is Indiana. The lack of media coverage around that Indiana team right now is kind of absurd, but they are very good. All right, Texas A&M coming in at number 9. I like what they did against Auburn. The thing is they easily could have given it away, and it wasn't even close. All right, A&M absolutely dominated the game up front. Their DBs, they dominated the game. Jackson Arnold wasn't necessarily accurate. Here's the thing, though. That defensive line is absolutely nasty from Texas A&M. Now, I'm not saying that they're better than Oklahoma. I'm not saying that at all. But, man, they were good, dude. They were really, really good. They went out there. They showed a lot of promise. They showed a lot of people, a lot of the haters, what was wrong with the let me see here. How do I word this? What's wrong? Like the narrative towards this Texas A&M team. Maybe they can't get over the hump this year. Well, that defensive line, they went out there and they showed this Auburn team exactly who Daddy is. All right, they showed exactly who Daddy is, and I don't think that. And listen, I like Auburn as much as the next Auburn fan out there, but that performance from Auburn was pitiful, and I love what A&M's doing, but that game, that loss is on the shoulders of Hugh Freeze. That is not on the shoulders of the Auburn players. Maybe Jackson Arnold a little bit, okay, maybe the offensive line a lot. But that loss is on the shoulders of Hugh Freeze and the egregious play calling down there towards the end of the game. Penn State at number 8. They fall to Oregon, but I think they'll be just fine. The schedule is not necessarily hard at all. It's not really tough. I think that Penn State is probably going to win. They're going to win a handful of more games this year. They'll probably end up losing again to Ohio State. But schedule, not that hard. We'll see where it goes. Georgia showed a lot of promise in the Alabama game. The problem was that Alabama's just a little bit better defensively. Right? Offensively right now than I think that Georgia is. Now, defensively, you can throw it up in the air, but I think Georgia might have it defensively. The thing is, Georgia's got a good defense, okay? Now, offensively, they've got to get it going. They've got to get it going. I think they stalled out a time too many. Talk about the controversial play call at the end of the game where they went hurry up on 4th down and 1. You had Gunnar Stockton. They ran the hurry up. He handed the ball off to Cash Jones. Now, I understand that he's like the third or fourth best running back on the team. They ran the hurry up, okay? They were trying to catch Alabama off guard. I had no problem with the play call. I think they probably could have set something up a little bit better if a timeout is called, or maybe they take a little time to set it up. Maybe, yeah, that's a possibility, but I didn't mind the play call at all. I thought it was kind of smart, actually, to try and catch the Alabama defense off guard. If that works, by the way, everybody's praising Kirby Smart. Oh, hell of a decision by Smart. Heck of a decision by Smart. But now what? Everybody's saying, oh, man, this guy, he made a bad decision late. And I don't think that, man. I think that Georgia, they'll figure things out. But I certainly don't think that was – I don't think that was a bad call there by Kirby Smart. I think it could have gone either way, whatever you want to call it. It's fine, whatever. But Georgia, defensively, I think they're really, really good defensively. They're not as good as they have been over the past few years. But offensively, they got to step up a little bit. Gunnar Stockton, he's good. He's fine. I really want to see a little bit. I really want to see not more mobility from Gunnar Stockton, but when it comes to the accuracy from Gunnar Stockton, I understand he is an accurate quarterback, and I want to see him be a tad more comfortable. I think under the pressure from Alabama, and that's the thing. Alabama didn't pressure Gunnar Stockton way too much in that game, but over the next few weeks, I want to see Gunnar Stockton take that leap to become that guy for Georgia, the guy that's going to go out there and win games for Georgia. And like I thought he would against this Alabama team, I thought he would go out there and not him alone win the game, but I thought that he was going to be one of the reasons that everybody kind of says that, oh, man, Georgia, he steps up for this Georgia team. He won it for him late. But obviously that didn't happen, and that's fine. Moving on to number 6, we have the Oklahoma Sooners. They lost their quarterback, John Mateer, for around a month, 3 to 4 weeks. We'll see where that goes. But right now, I've got them right there. They are ranked number 6, not because of who they will be, but because of what they are right now. And, guys, I'm not going to punish them for losing their quarterback right now. If it would be a little bit different if it was a Florida State situation and it was Brock Glenn coming in at quarterback and a guy who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. I understand that Michael Hawkins is a little bit better of a quarterback than that, and they have a little bit better of a team than Florida State had a few years ago. So that's why I have Oklahoma where they are right now. I'm sorry, Michael Cotter, please forgive me. And Florida State, by the way, also lost the game to Virginia over the last week. And I'll tell a little story about that over the next few minutes. Ole Miss coming in at number 5. Really like what they did offensively. Lane Kiffin is an absolute offensive mastermind. Really enjoyed what he did on Saturday. That offense and Trinidad Chambliss as well. Miami at number 4. I think offensive line, they're going to dominate against Florida State coming this Saturday. Alabama at number 3. Heck of a game against Georgia, man. They're going to really be good this year, but they've got to figure out something with the defensive run game. Okay, they've got to figure out how to stop the run. They've got to figure out how to get to the quarterback a little bit more than they are. Ohio State, another one of those teams that I feel like has not necessarily taken that step yet. We've seen this from an Ohio State team before. Ohio State, in the past, they've started out real slow, kind of real sluggish and everything, and then they kind of pick it up. You get a really good win against the Washington Huskies team in Husky Stadium. Okay, you snap that 22-game home win streak of the Washington Huskies. By the way, a lot of people kind of letting this game go under the radar. I think that this Washington team is a little bit better than advertised. I know they're a little bit better than advertised. They have an absolute dog at quarterback, Demond Williams. I really think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the nation, in the Big Ten, and I think that'll show eventually, maybe over the next year or two. But we'll see. He's just got to have time to develop. And number 1, we have Oregon. Oregon with a dominant win over Penn State. Now, I say dominant win because, guys, on the field, it looked a lot like it looked like a lot wider of a game than the other night than it actually was. Okay? Now, when it comes to score, you can look at the 30-24, whatever it was, all you want to. But I really do think that this Oregon team, they went in and they showed that Penn State that they showed how much better they were than that Indy line team, okay? I'm not saying that it was a blowout. It wasn't. Look at the score. But Oregon went in, they handled business, and from a on-the-field standpoint, it wasn't necessarily close other than the game, okay? Oregon, they played phenomenal in every aspect of the game. Dante Moore, that guy's incredible. I think more eyes need to be on him, and I think that more people will kind of figure that out. So, now, that has concluded the HCS Power 12. Now, I appreciate everybody for tuning in to that. I appreciate everybody for letting me know and giving me intake on how you like the HCS Power 12. I understand it, and I appreciate everybody for giving me their Power 12 as well. Because I know some of you like to critique, but you don't drop your Power 12 as well, which is fine. I understand. Not everybody has time for this. But yeah, man. As I glance down to the iPad, I have a little more that I want to talk about. But first, I'm going to get to the main squeeze, all right? I'm going to get to the main squeeze of the weekend. This Vandy and Alabama game, what all it's going to entail, who wins the game, why does who win the game, what else is going to happen, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and dive into it. Now, Alabama, we know what they are defensively, okay? They're really good stopping the run. I've got some stuff written down here for you because I really think you need to hear this, okay? We saw what Alabama did against the run game against Georgia and everything. Georgia put up a lot of yards for free. Okay, so let's talk about it. Bama defensively is 75th right now in the country against the run, against stopping the run. Okay, now why is this interesting? Okay, so this is interesting because Vandy, all right. Vandy is one of the better teams in the nation when it comes to running. They average over 200 yards a game when it comes to rushing. 250 at home, 200 on the road. They average around 230 rushing yards per game. It's going to be one of those things where I expect for Diego Pavia to really get into his element, really get in his bag, try at the bottom. And I expect for him to go out and I expect for him to play his game. Cedric Alexander, running back for Vandy. I think that he's another one of those guys that can really make some noise in this game against Alabama. Now let's talk about Vandy's offense for a second, okay? They really like to mix it up in the run game. They mix it up. They throw a marble at you. They'll throw a carrot at you. And what does that mean exactly? Okay, they're so random with it. Okay, you can see this Vandy team line up in a pistol formation and you'll have the wide receiver come in and run motion and run in between the quarterback and the running back and run outside, and almost like an option play. That's crazy. Okay, that is Clark Lee. That is Clark Lee's doing. That is the offensive coordinator from New Mexico State, by the way, who followed Diego Pavia. Kind of came with each other, package deal pretty much. But they're one of those teams where they can throw you off guard and they can confuse the hell out of you, man. And that is why I think that Vandy stands a chance in this game. Is because, for one, yeah, everybody can say, I mean, they don't go out there and they don't spend north of $10 million on a roster. Okay, they're right around that $3 million, $4 million range when it comes to NIL. But they got some freaking dudes, man. Okay, they returned a lot of guys from last year. The returning production for Vandy's insane. They returned basically everybody, and everybody just wrote these guys off. All right, now Vandy's not one of those teams that's going to go into Tuscaloosa and lay down. I think that Diego Pavia is one of those guys that set a mentality for this Vandy team that, hey, you know what? He thinks that this team is one of the best in the country, and the dog mentality from that guy is just absurd. It's on another level. I love that from Diego Pavia. And that is why he's one of my favorite quarterbacks in America. He's one of my favorite players in America. And I think that they stand a chance on Saturday simply because Diego Pavia has the ability to transform the game. Now, he's going to make some dumb plays, all right? You saw it against Virginia Tech, all right? He rolled out the pocket and just threw it off his back foot with a defender in his face and underthrew the receiver by 5 yards, and it ended up in a pick. And Virginia Tech overtook the ball. Now, he's going to make his mistakes, all right? Vandy, this is a team that they kind of make up for it, okay? Now, Diego Pavia, obviously, he makes some mistakes, but one thing about Diego Pavia is he's an electric factor, okay? I've never seen a player with so much confidence at a team that has a brand so small as Vanderbilt. The guy's confident as all get out, okay? I mean, so you put Diego Pavia in New York City, and he's going to stand taller than the Twin Towers. He just is. And that is why I feel like that Vandy has such a good chance against Alabama on Saturday. They get really creative with the run game, okay? These guys are creative with the pass game. So they can line up 5 wide, okay, and Diego probably be the long guy in the backfield, the quarterback, and they can come in and then have one of the receivers come in motion. He ends up running a wheel, okay? Or they'll have the guy from the outside, and forgive me, I can't remember his name. A lot of times it's going to be a tight end. I do believe he lines up on the outside. It's not Stowers, but I think his last name's Coleman. And he just ran a fade down the seam or down the sideline. Okay, wide open against Virginia Tech for the touchdown. This is one of those teams that can confuse the crap out of you. They can go out and win a game. They can win it. They can be gritty with it, but they can run the ball. That's the most important part of this team. They can run the ball, and that's how I think they keep this game close. Cedric Alexander and Diego Pavia, those guys split carries. They're going to split them in half. Diego Pavia is going to run for over 50, so say. Okay, Cedric Alexander, he's going to run for over 75, per se. That's how they keep this game within reach. Okay, now Alabama, a 10.5-point favorite. I think it's going to be close. And I'm going to be at this game. They're all going to be on the field. I talked to some guys earlier. They were like, man, it sounded like you're going to be on the field during this game. I'd like to clear up. I'm going to be in the stands, pal. Okay? I'm not that important. I wish I was. I'm just simply not that important. I wish I was. But now, all right, if anything, Alabama goes out and they win by 10, I don't think it's going to be any larger. Okay. When it comes to Ty Simpson, I think he's going to be fine. He'll be poised. He'll be calm. Okay. I'm curious about the running back, though. The blocking from guys like Kevin Riley, Jan Miller. Those guys are insane. Okay. Those guys are insanely strong. Now they're not the best. Not the best running back duo is Jeremiah Gilreath. Pell City legend has just walked in the building here, but I don't see how Alabama doesn't win this game simply from the fact that the run game or the running back blocking is out of this world. Okay, those guys are extremely good. Now the defensive front, I could see how Vandy kind of takes advantage of that and exploits that. They exploit that defensive front, and Vandy goes out and they win this game. Now I could see that, but I don't have it in me. I don't have it in me that way. So my main outcome of the game: Ty Simpson. I'm not saying Ty Simpson is different, but what I am saying is Ty Simpson opens up the game. The run game gets going a little bit. He's able to open it up. He's able to get the ball down to Sear Watson or guys like I say Horton. Guys, Brian Williams is a guy who's been incredibly slept on for kind of the year, for most of the year, because Jeremy Bernard has been that guy for Alabama right now. Because Ryan Williams, he's being doubled on some plays. Okay, Jeremy Bernard, he's getting open when Ryan Williams isn't able to. Jeremy Bernard's been that one guy that everybody's saying, "Oh man, I'm going to take this guy over Ryan Williams right now." Guys, Ryan Williams is still that guy for Alabama. Jeremy Bernard is just one of those guys who's had his time. But Ryan Williams, no doubt about it, is the main guy on that Alabama offense that Vandy needs to be worried about. All right, now. What's going to happen is if they try to double Ryan Williams, okay, what's going to happen with that? Okay, then you're going to have guys like Jeremy Bernard, who he's going to be open for. You're going to have guys like Isaiah Horton, who's one of the better. By the way, Isaiah Horton incredibly slept on. So I think that's the important part for Alabama is they mix it up a little bit. Okay, now they've done a really incredible job of that this year. You know, not secluding it to one person. Jeremy Bernard, while he's going to get his receiving touchdown. He's got 4 in the year. He's also got some rushing touchdowns. I think he's got 1 rushing touchdown in the year. So they mix it up. They aren't secluded to one aspect of the game. And I think that Alabama goes out there. Maybe they hit a deep ball or two. Ty Simpson, he throws it deep a time or two through Ryan Williams or so. And they get a touchdown. Maybe they throw it over the top a little bit. Maybe they mix it up like that. Or they get to finally establish that running game. And Jan Miller, he's a guy that's extremely hard-nosed, and he can bulldoze you over, and he's a bruising back, and he can run you over, and he can get that first down in a time that's needed, okay? But ultimately, I think that Alabama wins it through the air just because strictly of how good that wide receiver core has been and how good they were against Georgia. Now, Ryan Williams, he's got to improve with the drops. He had a drop or two over the last few games. He's got to improve on. I think he will improve on that. And he'll get better for sure. He will get better for sure. But when it comes to that guy, just in general, he's got to be better. I think he gets better. Shout out to Jared Smith for watching tonight. Appreciate you, my man. Now, Wisconsin and Michigan, going to win that one. All right. Now, who's going to win other games? You got some other games and some not too notable games, and I think that Oklahoma, they're going to have a tune-up before the Red River rivalry, Red River shootout. So that'll be fun. But I want to mention Jared Smith real quick. Jared Smith, avid watcher of the show. I highly appreciate that. But, man, thank you. I really do appreciate you for watching the show and tuning in each and every week. You've been here every week, and I highly appreciate it. And you sir, are my number one fan. He also chimes in and says, I do want to know which coach you think is is in the most danger. Vegas has Freeze over Napier. What are your thoughts? So I'll go ahead and comment on this. I think that Freeze has kind of exposed himself a little bit. Freeze has kind of exposed himself in the aspect that Hugh Freeze cannot call a play to save his life. Right? He can't run the ball to save his life. I don't know what decision he made or what made him make the decision late in that game. Guys, Auburn's offense had 1 total yard in the fourth quarter against Texas A&M. Auburn's defense had more points than Auburn's offense had yards in the fourth quarter of that game against Texas A&M, which is absolutely ridiculous. And Hugh Freeze calls plays like a toddler with a headset. Okay, I don't know why. I don't know what makes him go away from the run game so much. You have Jeremiah Cobb, who I think is one of the better running backs in the SEC right now. He's extremely dynamic. Tamari Austin, he's a bruising back. He reminds me of a pit bull. He's extremely good, and they just go away from it, which makes zero sense to me. Now, I may or may not have bet the over on Jeremiah Cobb, and that in rushing yards. That may be why I'm mad. No, it's not my place. But Hugh Freeze has got to get better, okay? You cannot go out there and have 1 total yard in the fourth quarter against A&M. I guess it's in College Station, but 1 total yard, 1 gross yard, my friend. And that is just inexplicable. You cannot, by any stretch of the imagination, have that go on within your offense. And the more that happens in this Hugh Freeze-led team, he will be gone. So, yes, I have Hugh Freeze gone at the end of the year, but I also think that Dylan Napier is going to be gone as well. Now, I hope not. I love Dylan Napier. I love what he's been trying to do at Florida. Now, again, he's got a problem offensively with the play calling as well. And I don't think that he's going to be there next year. Now, when it comes to who's going to be gone first, man, that's a tough one. I'd probably say Napier, with how tough the schedule is. Now, it's tough for Auburn as well. It's a little bit tougher on Florida's side. So I'm going to say Napier's gone first. I wouldn't be surprised if Freeze. I think that Auburn would probably wait till the offseason to fire Freeze if that's what indeed happens. Now, we've got a lot more to talk about, a little bit more to talk about. We've got some college football games going on this weekend. We've got some big-time games. We've got some not-so-big-time games. And I really think that some of these games are going to be talked about a lot over the next few weeks. Just from one outcomes, two, I think it shakes up the AP Top 25 a lot, which, by the way, the AP Top 25 sucks. And if there's any ranking you need to be paying attention to, it's the HCS Power 12. So we'll go ahead and leave that there. Now, Texas Tech, one of those teams that people are watching. They've got the attention of a lot of people. They go on the road to Houston, man. They play Saturday night, and I think that's going to be a fun one on the road at night. That's going to be Saturday night against Houston. That's going to be a fun one. Kentucky plays Georgia. I think that Georgia wins. They're probably somewhere along the lines of 34-10, somewhere around there. I don't think they put up too many points. Texas and Florida. Excuse me. Texas and Florida, one of those games that I think is really going to be I think it's going to be a good game. Texas has to travel on the road to Gainesville. Arch Manning is going to be tested again, and the last away game he played, it was significant anyways, but was at Ohio State, and he did not play good at all. So he's got my eyes on this one. I think that Texas is probably going to win this game, but I think it'll be a little closer than I don't think it'll be a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm going to go with a close game. And I think that Texas eventually wins that game. So that's how I see it. Massive shout out to Steel 174 for sponsoring the show. You got Daniel Dalton and Bobby Welch over in Steel, Alabama. You know, they're a great group of guys that can build a house like it's nothing. They can put it up with ease. And guys, it's not like a gingerbread house. You can't put your icing on there and make it stick together. You don't want to take your 4,800 trips to the hardware store. You just don't. But if you get Steel 174, a construction company out of Steel, Alabama, build some houses. They're really, really good at it too. Those guys can get you right, man. It's still strong, still reliable, still 174. That's Bobby, Daniel, and Dalton Welch at Steel, Alabama. You can visit Steel 174 on Facebook. You're watching the Hayden Coker Show presented to you by Senator Landon Bell. Senator Landon Bell is the best man I know, the best man he knows. And I certainly want to thank the fine folks here at Buffalo Wild Wings for letting me do the show here every single Thursday night, except for Thanksgiving night. We will not be doing it then. That'll be a different location. Still undecided about that. That's a few months away. We're about a month and a half away, really now. We will figure that out. We will let you guys know. And happy Spooktober. Happy Spooktober, as SEC fans like to call it, October. But this this is one of the most incredible months of the year when it comes to college football. When it comes to sports all around, we've got the Major League Baseball playing. I think the NBA comes back this month too. NFL, we have NHL playing. I don't know, I'm not an NHL guy, but I know they're playing right now. The WNBA is going on for those who follow the WNBA. So a lot going on with them, guys. And a lot to talk about over the next few weeks. As earlier we were watching on the TV, the Cubs defeated the Padres, the Detroit Tigers, they beat the Guardians. That game ended shortly before we went live. So, man, it's been phenomenal. It's been a phenomenal night of football watching, baseball watching. Right now, you've got the Rams on TV. They're playing the San Francisco 49ers. So, two teams out west, two California teams. No, not too many people in this area like California, but it is for this. So yeah, I think that there's a lot going on over the next few weeks. You've got a heck of a college football slate. You've got Red River coming up soon. Texas, Oklahoma. Is Mateer going to be back? Likely not. I don't think he will be. So it'll be 100%. So Michael Hawkins is more than likely going to be the starting quarterback there. But you've got Tennessee, Alabama in a few weeks. But Alabama, Vandy. Now I do have the Elephants taking this one home. The Crimson Tide. I think that the Alabama Crimson Tide win this game. And if you missed my prediction earlier, Alabama wins this game not only by being able to run the ball, but I think that they kind of open it up a little bit. I think that Ryan Williams is going to have a heck of a game. I think he's going to have a career game. And Ty Simpson, he's going to be on point. He's going to be on point just like he was against Georgia. And he's going to play with that feisty swagger that he's got. He's got that swagger. He's got that moxie. He's got that energy to him that I really enjoy. And Pavia, man, I'm excited for Diego Pavia to go out there and show Tuscaloosa what he can do. Do I think that Vandy wins the game? No, but I think that they do a lot of good things offensively, and Diego Pavia is just going to continue to have his name rise in that Heisman contention or that Heisman contender conversation. Okay, this is the guy who has 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions on the year right now. All right, you look at what happened last year. He was 17 touchdowns, 4 interceptions to end the year. Diego Pavia is on another level right now. Over 250 yards passing. I believe it's around 270 right now. And the guy's going to go out there and make his plays. But the Alabama offense is going to be what makes the difference. They got to stop the run, and they've got to be able to establish that run game. But I think they do that against Vandy. Now, that has been the Hayden Coker Show for tonight. Now, we've got a lot to do, a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss next week. You catch my Facebook post. I'll have some shorts uploaded shortly. On the YouTube, the Instagram, the Facebook, the TikTok, all that chat. I'll have that uploaded for you. But for now, I highly appreciate you to my viewers out there. Thank you so much. Garrett Smith says Texas by 5. Thank you so much for watching. I have great gratitude and great appreciation for you. I will see you guys next week at the same time. And always, guys, bring it, okay? We have the HCS Power 12 for you, okay? We're going to bring back some energy next week, okay? 7 o'clock at Buffalo Wild Wings here in Pell City. This has been the Hayden Coker Show, presented to you by Senator Lance Bell. Y'all have a good night. Take care. Don't get in any trouble this weekend, college kids. Be good, man. Thank y'all for all y'all do. I appreciate you watching.